Speaking with Josh Schertz, head coach of the Lincoln Memorial University men's basketball team. And, Coach, it's been another good week for you and your team. 60-point win over Tennessee Wesleyan University to open the week, basically, and then picked up a conference victory, a 20-point margin over Lenoir-Rhyne this past Wednesday.
Yeah, two good performances. Thought we played really well Sunday. Obviously shot it great. Thought we defended well for the most part. Had some stretches where we weren't maybe quite as locked in, but overall that was Tennessee Wesleyan's I thought we really handled our business, and without two starters out, Rondi, without Cam Henry, had a lot of guys step up, play well, and had a lot of guys get opportunity in that game, so that was good. Lenoir-Rhyne last night, as you would expect in the SAC, dogfight, really excellent basketball team, really well coached, really hard to guard. They spread you. They got a lot of guys that can get downhill and shoot, so they put a lot of pressure on the rim, and then you got to get out to shooting, and so it creates some quandaries and some difficult situations. And I thought we were really good in stretches last night. We got out to a great start. Obviously, Voss was ridiculous, really the whole game, but certainly those first 10, 11 minutes to get us out to a 32-14 lead. And then from there, they got it back, and I think it was 9. It felt like between 9 and 13 most of the second half. We had a little spurt there with about 5-6 minutes to go. But, pleased with the way we played. I thought our defense was not nearly as good as it's been. Offensively, we were pretty good, 60% shooting and 25 assists, so we shared the ball. I thought turnovers second half were an issue. We had only 3 at halftime, finished with 12, so 9 turnovers in the second half. Took some possessions away kind of on silly turnovers, whether it was driving into crowds or travels or trying to squeeze passes that weren't there. We made some bonehead turnovers. But overall, offensively, it was good. Defensively, leaves a lot to be desired. We got to be better. We got hurt in transition. We got hurt, in some straight line drive scenarios. Got hurt in some different actions they ran that we didn't do a very good job of taking away, and stuff that we hadn't necessarily seen that they hadn't run, but we should have been able to adjust a little quicker, and gave Gunn and Hawks some good looks. And those guys, anytime they get a good look, they're going to knock it in. So we'll need to be better moving forward. We'll watch film today, try to learn from that. Come back to work tomorrow and Saturday and prepare for a good Kentucky Wesleyan team on Sunday.
A lot of coaches would be a little uneasy about going into games with conference opponents or powerful opponents without a full complement of players. Last couple of games you've had to deal without a few starters. I think Cam Henry was out of the lineup against Wesleyan along with Rondi Hackett. In this particular game, Anthony Brown out of the lineup. And then during the game, not a starter, but definitely a key player, preseason all-conference performer, Cam Calhoun goes out with an injury. But the end margin is a testament to the strength and the confidence that you have in these teammates.
Yeah, I think we have great depth. Those guys, we believe in everybody on our roster, and I think most importantly, they believe in themselves and each other. And so, we've unfortunately had our share of injuries this year. You can go back, what was it, 16, 17, we lost Manuel and Dorian, both had, broken feet, broken foot. And so lost those guys for extended periods of time, had to play without them, had to play without Dorian the rest of the season. So we've dealt with different varying types of injuries, and this year we've been nicked up a little bit here and there, and certainly always concerning when you go in with less than your full complement of players. But I also, like I said, I have great confidence in our depth. We have a lot of good players, got a lot of guys that practice hard and would play significant minutes a lot of places, and when they get opportunities, they're able to step in and take advantage. And so you've seen like Alex Dalling the last 2 games get, significant run. Last night, Julius Brown and Jeremiah Keene, really handled the point guard duties for us. And we had to really, as much as the injuries, the foul trouble combined with the injuries was or the illnesses was what was an issue. We had so many guys in foul trouble. I think we wound up going in the first half. I think we wound up playing 10 guys. Just because we were trying to handle the foul trouble and keep that at bay as best we could, manage that. And But again, you throw an MJ Armstrong in there, Shaquille Rombley. I have great faith in those guys. They're going to come in and do their jobs and do it at a high level, and that's part of being a team. You got to pick each other up. Some games you're not going to have, other games there's going to be things that arise, injuries, foul trouble. That's where depth becomes vital to be able to play through those, and we've dealt with injuries, unfortunately, here the last couple games, and then certainly foul trouble was maybe the most significant. Maybe Carson Newman and last night were the most significant in terms of being in serious foul trouble, having a number of guys. We had 2 guys foul out, and I think a number of guys playing with 4, like down the stretch of the game. We didn't have Devin and we didn't have Rondi. I think Rondi went out with 8 minutes to go and Devin with 5 minutes to go. So you're without Anthony already, and then you take out Devin and Rondi. But Jeremiah Keem was great down the stretch. Julius Brown, Alex, guys stepped in and did their jobs. And we actually closed the game. It was, I think, when Devin fouled out, it was maybe 9 or 10 point game with 5 minutes to go, and we wound up winning by 20. So, credit to those guys, credit to the depth of the team, and for those guys staying ready and being ready to take advantage of their opportunities.
Talking about that depth, Alex Dolling last night, I thought did a tremendous job of the times when he was guarding R.J. Gunn. You're talking about a guy who's really a first-team All-League selection and possibly All-Region selection, one of the best players we faced, if not the best all year long. And so for him to have that kind of night defensively, and then you turn Voss loose with the night he had, 44 points. And if you really break down the stat line, you might look at Cam Henry's performance as arguably the best of the evening when it comes to the statistics across the board. Yeah,
Cam obviously touched the game in a lot of areas. He always does. He's like just vastly underrated player. Almost reminds me of Dorian, and where he brings so much to the table in terms of impacting winning, but some of it is just subtle stuff that you don't know till you go back. But his line last night, and he was battling severe foul trouble. He didn't play a ton. But 23 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, just kind of doing what he does. Voss is, I said it last night, that was a joke. That was insane. That was just ridiculous. I've seen a few pretty good offensive performances, and that ranks right there. The only ones off the top of my head were Seeger Bonifant in the Final Four, Jarrell Simmons in that same Final Four game, and then DeMario years ago against Catawba had 40-some. But what Voss did last night was special, and he's obviously just a remarkable talent. He's gifted and can score, and he competes, and he works to get better. And so was glad to see him step up. We needed it. We needed it. We were struggling, and there was a lot of times in the game where his shot making just kept us afloat, kept separation. Because Lenoir Ryan, I thought, played great. They made 14 threes, and they were really difficult to guard. In terms of Alex, that's the thing I told the team afterwards. He played 34 minutes and he went 1 for 8, and you're like, why would you play a guy who went 1 for 8? Why would you play him 34 minutes? And reality is all the things he does to impact winning, right? He was the job he did on R.J. Gunn, the job he did when he got on the Mason Hawks and taking his space away, the job he does being aware, recognizing, switching when appropriately, helping guys, understanding rotations, and he just competes his butt off. Alex is as tough and as smart a player as we've ever had here, and so it's good to see him, be able to. Because I think coming into the year, the thought process on Alex was, he's a shooter, so you throw him in, see if he makes some. If he's making them, he plays. If he doesn't, he doesn't play because it doesn't impact the game. And now it's almost the other way, where hey, shot making's a bonus. He's guarding, he's rebounding. He's only had 4 points, but he gets 6 rebounds. He gets 5 assists. He made a lot of really good plays, a lot of winning plays. I always talk about making winning plays, and those are some subtle things that usually aren't maybe apparent to the average fan, and they're not. They don't get validation in the box score, but they're so important to winning and losing. And Alex is as good as we have in terms of making winning plays.
So the week's victories put you now at 11-1 on the year. You've won 11 straight. Sets the stage for Sunday's battle with an old national powerhouse in Kentucky Wesleyan, a team, I think if I'm not mistaken, they could have somewhere around 8 national championships as a program. Yeah. But before we talk about that, I want to touch very quickly on Rondi Hackett, of course, Cam Calhoun, and Miles Smith. Here's 3 young men who now are on a team that, and again, I could be incorrect on this, that has been ranked inside the top 5 in all years they've been involved.
Yeah.
And we're not done yet. Still plenty of room to go. these young men may or may not go down as the winningest players ever to play for the LMU men's basketball program, but all as redshirt freshmen when they came to the program, now number 4 in the country, their ceiling is wide open.
Yeah, no, I agree. They've had terrific careers. They've all been so valuable. You know, Miles is probably just goes under the radar because he doesn't get to play a ton, but his personality, his positivity, his selflessness, the way he's willing to do whatever is asked of him in practice, if it's scout team, if it's passing, and he never complains. And I always think on teams, you know, chemistry is really formed at the very top of the roster with your best players and some of the guys who aren't playing, and that really dictates what kind of team chemistry you have. And Miles is awesome, and great to see him graduate. Rondi and Cam have obviously played more pronounced and significant roles here over the years. Cam got in as a redshirt sophomore back in 17-18 was his first significant playing time, but on the number 1 team in the country. He played about 18 minutes a game, was our 7th man, and really impacted a bunch of games and helped us win. And then last year, he was our starting center. I mean, 6'4", whatever he is, 190, and he started for us on the interior. And not only did he start for us, led us in rebounding and made all conference. And it wasn't the type of year that anybody in the program hoped for, but we did win 20 games. We did finish 2nd in the league, and he was a massive part of that. And like you mentioned, came back as a preseason first-team all-league guy. And I told him in the preseason, hey, we're going to bring you off the bench. And you talk about another guy that's completely about the team, absolute winner, cares about that over everything, is for his teammates, supports them, and cares for the success of the group. And he's a guy who gets everything out of his talent. So great respect for him, and thrilled to see both he and Miles graduate, and Rondi. Finally, really in his 5th year here as a senior, getting his opportunity to play. We've had a few of these cases. If you go back to Paul Woodson when Dorian got hurt, that was really his significant playing time, and Hunter Spall that same year. And I think Rondi's in that same kind of vein. He sees a light at the end of the tunnel. As a guy that hadn't got much opportunity, has always had talent, but now he's starting to really kind of blossom. He leads the league in field goal percentage. He's shooting about 74% from the field, which is incredible. He's a great passer, great skill. It allows us to do a lot of things offensively and be creative. We play through him as a playmaker, facilitator. He can really pass for a big guy. And his defense is outstanding. He really does a great job of anchoring our defense, protecting the rim. Again, winning plays, vertical contests without fouling and forcing guys to miss. Not really a block shot, but he does just so much on the defensive end that probably goes unnoticed. Not to us, obviously, but to everybody else. And so his impact has been profound this year, and thrilled for him that he's getting his opportunity. And it's pretty cool to have, going here into the 2nd semester, 3 college graduates on your roster, 3 guys that'll be in their master's programs. And everybody talks about, the pros and how many pros we've had. And been fortunate to have a lot of guys, but we've had equal or more that have gone through grad school. Obviously we redshirt a lot of guys. So there's that. But having guys that finish the 4 years, get into grad school, complete grad school, get their master's degree, just sets them up to be, successful in life. And I think there's a direct correlation. You talked about the winning and how much winning they've done, and 2 Final Fours already, and ever many, conference championships and regional championships, whatever. There's a direct correlation between that and then their success in the classroom and the kind of human beings they are. It's all intertwined, and it's great to see those guys walk the stage, have that degree, all start their master's degree, and we're going to try to finish this thing strong. And those 2 guys will play a huge part of that on the court, and Miles will continue to do his work behind the scenes, and hopefully we'll have a good run here to finish it off.
So again, to recap, now you're 11-1. You will play your final game of 2019 against Kentucky Wesleyan, a team that is deep in tradition, deep in national attention, national accolades. You'll play them on their home floor in a venue that's very historic, and they'll face a team that is kind of coming to the national spotlight here in the last decade, and one that has really received a lot of attention and a lot of accolades on the national level as well.
Yeah, Kentucky Wesleyan, I mean, when you look at blue bloods, they're the bluest of the blue bloods in Division II. You know, like you said, 8 national championships, all-time, you know, weeks ranked, all-time weeks #1. I mean, they've just been incredible. It's the most tradition-rich program in the country. They made a change a couple years ago and hired Drew Cooper in there, and he's done an outstanding job. He's certainly trying to build the program the right way. You can see it. They have they run good stuff. They have good players. They play hard. Their results have been a little bit up and down compared to what they're used to, but that's part of the growing pains of when you come into a program and trying to put your stamp on it and get your guys in and build cohesion and continuity and culture, and that takes some time. And so you could tell, though, they play hard, they execute, they're competing, and they're giving themselves opportunities. I think Tuesday they went into Western Kentucky and lost by 15 and played them tooth and nail. So we're going to have our work cut out for us on the road, non-conference, last game before you go on break. There's a lot of factors. We've had some stinkers right before the break. You know, if you go back to 16-17 and 17-18, you know, 16-17 we lose here to Newberry right before the day before break. 17-18 in Owensboro, ironically, we lose to Northwest Missouri by, you know, a ton down there in #1 versus #2. So we've had some times where we've gone on break too early and guys haven't had the right mentality and mindset. So it's important for us to be focused, do our work. Nobody's here besides us. We understand that. But we have to get work done, and then break will be here, and everybody will get a much-needed week off to kind of recharge, fill their cups up, and come back here December 30th ready to roll, and then the conference plays right around the corner. But every game matters when you're trying to build your resume. Kentucky Wesleyan game, they, you know, NCAA committee and all that stuff's not going to factor in. It was before break or anything like that. It's you win or you lose, and you're trying to get every single game you can. And so it's a huge one for us. It's a non-conference game, but it's got significant implications, and we got to treat it as such and go in and be ready, because we're playing a good team on their home floor, and anything less than our best, and we'll probably you know, not have an opportunity to get a win there. So we'll have to be locked in, ready to go.